Hello and welcome to No Sweat, your weekly podcast talking footy and sport at large. This week, there's light at the end of the tunnel. My name is Luca, and to discuss the latest news and views, we're joined by the regular No Sweat panel. With me today is James. Hello, mate.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you. And Dodd?
Hey, 25 days to footy, counting down.
Yes. And JD, how are you?
Hi there, Sailor. Going great, mate.
Big news, boys. We have a return to major sport. This weekend, the Bundesliga is back. Kicked off this week at the major game. Dortmund 4-0 over Schalke, local rivals. But locally too, we have a return to footy project in progress. From Monday onwards, players are back at clubs in small groups. The following week, the 25th, competitive contact training at clubs, finally. And a couple of weeks later, Thursday, June 11th, like we spoke about on last week's pod, footy is back. Most likely Richmond versus Collingwood first game, but we'll have to wait and see. What does it look like? Well, players will be tested twice a week, at least. That's already started. So far, I think they've done about 1,000 tests and no one's turned up positive. All people playing in Queensland will need to get the flu shot, and we'll jump into the Queensland situation in a second. All houses are being inspected at the moment, which is interesting. And in terms of the fixture, we'll start getting news in about a week. They'll be released in 4 to 5 week blocks, maybe month by month. Quarters will stay at 16 minutes. We won't have a bye. Hopefully the season's done with the grand final due late October. So we can expect to know a little bit more in the next week or so, and obviously we'll keep you updated each week on the podcast. A lot to take in, but we are a step closer to restarting. What are your thoughts, James?
Well, absolutely pumped that there's finally some light at the end of the tunnel. I remember listening to Travis Auld speaking, who's actually sorting out the fixture and deciding what the season opener is going to be and all that sort of stuff. And he said that there's a potential for double headers. So a chance to have games on the same day at each of the venues that they're going to be having playing games at. So, for example, at the MCG, there could be 2 or 3 games played on the same day. He said it's a lot easier, or would make it a lot easier for broadcasters, TV and radio, not having to shuffle between grounds and all that sort of stuff. And due to the fact that there's not going to be any crowds, it's sort of a no-brainer, really, to have just 4 sets of teams coming in and out. But yeah, excited nonetheless.
Yeah, it all sounds pretty good. There's a lot of work to be done before then. I think they've also spoken about pumping in some background noise and some fake crowd noise. I have mixed feelings towards this because I think knowing that there's no crowds there, the fake noise will be a problem. But people who have heard it seem to say that a little bit of fake noise improves the atmosphere. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but that'll be interesting to listen to. John, what do you think?
I actually quite liked the first round where you could hear the players just yelling and screaming and carrying on and whatnot. But I think it just gave a bit more of that suburban sort of footy feel to it. So hopefully, scrap the fake back. It's like having a laugh track. It's like you're being told when to cheer on a show. So keep it as is.
Yeah, I think I agree with that too. Todd, what do you reckon?
I just remember watching Carlton-Richmond first game and the no crowd thing, the no noise, it was like really frazzling. Couldn't get used to it. But by the last game of the weekend, I just tended to get used to it. And I agree with John. I think I did enjoy it, just hearing the players and even the coaches yelling out and the umpires as well. That back and forth of the umpire was interesting to hear.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, but on the Bundesliga last night, was there an element of fake noise as well?
I'm not sure.
I think, because I saw a bit of the Dortmund game and I couldn't remember or couldn't really tell if it was background noise, if it was the 100 odd that are in the stadium, such as reporters and stuff making noise. But that sounded quite natural, to be honest, and that didn't sound too bad.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think the other thing that's coming out of Channel 7 specifically, I don't know if Fox have spoken about this, but they said they're willing to adjust depending on how viewers find the first few games. So we'll wait and see and hear what it's like, and hopefully it works out okay.
Yeah, on the Rub, I remember a couple of weeks ago, BT was saying that that's something that Seven's going to be doing. And he said it's not over the top or anything, but he said it just adds that extra thin layer of atmosphere to the ground. And if BT's saying that, who's probably second behind Bruce, you're probably going to have to take that. And if he says this doesn't sound too bad, then we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to something, some type of footy, some type of sport coming back.
Yeah. And as we mentioned a little bit earlier, the Queensland situation will be a little bit different to the rest of the competition. And that's because teams from Western Australia and South Australia will have to play home games in Queensland. They will be relocating to the Gold Coast for 4 to 8 weeks, 4 to start off with at least, and being put up in golf resorts and hotels. Families, partners can join the players. They will be funded by the AFL, but they won't be able to leave. So once they're in, to stop any risks with the virus being spread around. A few interesting questions have come up from footy people and people involved in the clubs. They don't know yet if they're going to be able to play golf at the golf resorts that they're staying at. They don't know if they can go to the beach. They don't know if they can go to a swim in the pool. That will be interesting. I don't know how that's going to play out. It would be a bit strange to have players there without allowing them to use the facilities that they're staying in. But Amazon are following West Coast this year. So we might be able to get an inside look on how that all works up in the Gold Coast. And maybe there'll be some entertaining viewing with all of these problems. John, what's your opinion?
I was going to say just quickly on that Amazon thing. So they're following them from like putting together a series or something like that somewhere down the track. Okay, that'd be interesting.
They're doing a TV series a lot like they've done with other sports clubs, done a few soccer teams around the world, a few NFL clubs.
I believe there's 6 teams in total. Well. I believe there's 6 teams in total.
In the AFL?
Yeah. And the Eagles are one of them.
Okay, well, that would be interesting. So, I mean, there's a lot to go through this year. Big fallouts, few big question marks.
Yeah.
A lot of players and, a lot of staff losing their jobs. So I don't know whether that will be gone into, but there's definitely a lot of meat on the bone. So I, for one, will enjoy being able to watch that when it comes through.
Can I just call a conspiracy here on this whole situation? Now, as far as AFL clubs go, who has been the greatest disappointment from the AFL's perspective?
Gold Coast. The AFL's perspective?
Yeah. Gold Coast is
Carlton, but
no, they've had their long-term success there. But the Gold Coast has been a flop and a half. You think about all the advantages they've been given, the concessions from the AFL, draft pick, all that, you name it, they've had it, and yet they're rubbish. So how can we possibly improve that? Of all the places we could possibly put people around Australia, this massive country, no, let's go plonk them over at Metricon Stadium. This is just another concession for the Gold Coast Suns and the AFL to try and get them off the ground, just giving them week in, week out home ground advantage. And I'm calling conspiracy. Gil, I'm on.
Well, in all fairness, I don't think it was the AFL's decision for West Coast, Freo, Port, Adelaide to actually go to the Gold Coast.
Don't be naive, Jim. Don't be naive.
I believe Adam Simpson said that he was wanting to go there just so they could not give the Vics any more sort of leeway into their season. They want to make it harder for them, which goes into that Vic versus interstate bias, which has been doing the rounds this week.
No,
it has been doing the rounds.
Adam Simpson multiple choice, and all of them were just Gold Coast, mate. I guarantee you. AFL's pushing this hard. Pushing it hard.
Well, where's it going to be? It's not going to be Cairns or Townsville or something. It's going to be Gold Coast or Queensland for sure.
Why not Brisbane? Why does it have to be?
There's already a
sunny in Brisbane.
Yeah, are there resorts in Brisbane? Brisbane's a whole.
Yeah, but the Gold Coast team's not strong. They need some help. No, look, I see the logic in it, JD.
Yeah,
not that I agree with it or anything, but
no, of course not.
There might be something there. If you keep digging, you might find something.
Get the shovels out, John.
Carrying that shovel, but I'm going to run with it anyway.
I think he's just upset that North haven't been invited to play up there as well.
Well, look, tell me why Arden Street wouldn't have been the perfect isolation place to go. No, there's no one there. No crowds turn up, so it would have been perfect. But anyways, that's all right. It's for another day.
Well, speaking of moving things around, we've had to look forward to the end of the season. And when the big dance comes down, we get to the last Saturday of the season, grand final day.
The last Saturday in September it's going to be, isn't it?
Might be the last Saturday of October this year, James. But when we look at it and think that there may not be any crowds at the grand final, it's a really strange thing to consider. Something that I never thought I would ever see. We're used to there being 100,000 people there. So the question was raised this week that if another state, we know Northern Territory, for example, has put their hand up, maybe Tasmania. If another state says, hey, look, we'll have crowds, bring a grand final over to our ground, would you do it? Would you play a grand final in Northern Territory, in Tasmania, in maybe one of the other footy states with a full crowd? Is it worth it over the G? What do you reckon, James?
If it was up to me, I would love to see it played at a ground where there was fans. Speaking purely from a footballing perspective, from a contractual perspective and the obligation that the MCG has to host it for the next 4,000 years, it might be a bit of a impediment to the actual game being not played at the MCG. But to have fans at a crowd, for example, at Northern Territory where the Premier was saying that it could be a possibility, I think that's great for footy, even for the whole final series, not just the grand final itself, because as they say, the prelims probably the last good game of football in a sense. So it'd be great to have fans at that as well.
Yeah, and as much as I love the grand final being played at the G, there's something that just feels wrong about a grand final being empty. And I agree with John, your point earlier about the regular games during the season sounding a little bit more like country footy or regional footy. But for the grand final, I don't know if I can cop that. I think some crowd noise would be a lot more beneficial to the occasion.
You talking artificial there, or are you talking genuine?
No, real people.
Real people, yeah. Look, to be honest, I don't think we're going to open up to that level of crowds even by the end of the season, to allow 20,000 people. What does Bloodstone hold? Roughly 20,000, I think. I don't imagine any government's probably going to allow that even then, if I had to hazard a guess. To be honest, who I really feel sorry for is whoever has to do the halftime entertainment. So this poor little pub band or something, just rocking up to a crowd of no one. So
Might be a good opportunity for an open mic.
Well, there we go.
This
karaoke, halftime karaoke entertainment. There's an option.
Get the other 16 clubs in there and get them to do the grand final footy show thing at halftime.
The review,
that's the one.
That's it. I think we've got to be creative with the entertainment aspect. This is a bit of a nothing year from certain aspects. So
that's something I actually haven't thought about this year. Have you got any suggestions on who you'd like to be in there?
They could just ship out a big asterisk onto the field. So whoever wins it can just look at what they're actually winning.
Or maybe one of those Olympics opening ceremony style dances where all the people are shaped into the asterisks on the ground and then they break into dance and start doing all the little patterns on the field.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good.
There has to be some kind of creativity. I like your call, John.
There's no banners this year, so maybe we have each team just walk out like it was the Olympics, like they have a flag bearer for the day and they just do a lap around the G or something like that. Or I don't know, we've got to come up with something. Because a lot of that traditional stuff's been lost. So
food for thought for sure. I'd like to hear the AFL come out in this. I think this should be number one priority from now on. What is halftime entertainment? Tell us your thoughts over at Twitter and Instagram at No Sweat Podcast. Who do you want to see playing grand final halftime? Crowds, no crowds, Victoria, MCG, somewhere else? I don't know. Tell us your thoughts.
If just a quick straw poll, if we were to pick one ground other than the MCG to hold the grand final, not that you want it to happen or per se, but something that could happen, which ground would you choose? Which would be the best, atmosphere-wise, ground-wise, history-wise, everything?
Are we talking this year, as in potential empty stadium or a full stadium?
No, we'll say full stadium. Full.
Optus Oval. Well, not the
Optus, yeah.
What are they calling it? Yeah. Is it
Icon
Optus
Park?
Oval?
Optus Oval,
Optus,
isn't
yeah.
it?
No.
Oh,
the one
no,
down
Optus
in
Stadium,
WA.
yeah.
Stadium,
Stadium. Yep.
It's done quite well for itself. Probably that one, just from what you see on TV. And I guess it probably helps that you only got two clubs there, but the atmosphere that they generate and the vibe and the lighting and all that would definitely be the way to go.
Yeah, keen to head over there for a game, when crowds are allowed again, because I've heard some great reviews about that stadium.
Yeah, I think it's clearly, other than the G, probably the best stadium in Australia for footy and maybe for sport in general at the moment. It looks really good. The way they've produced it looks.
Is it second capacity-wise, or is ANZ in Sydney still bigger?
Do we still play at ANZ?
Yeah.
I thought they stopped.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Well,
stop
they were
ANZ?
renovating it, weren't they?
Oh, okay.
I think they were just renovating it for a season.
Doesn't ANZ
Unless
fit
I'm getting my grounds mixed up.
Yeah, I think you're on the money there, Dodd.
Yeah.
In saying that, Bulldogs Giants, that prelim they played, small ground, that game was electric. Granted, the game itself kind of lent itself to it, but I don't know. I think as long as you get a good competitive game, I think that does help too. But still, Optus Stadium.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, moving on. I think it might be time for the tribunal. Those who haven't heard, this is the time when the Holy Grail passes our short and sharp judgment on topics that we don't really have time to go in depth with. Ordinarily, it would just be a sentence, but this week we've had a great suggestion brought to us by Dodd. Some inspiration from America. We'll play a game of start, bench, cut. 3 players. Who are you starting? Who are you benching? Who are you cutting? So, James, I'll come to you first with the top 3 of the Coleman Medal last year. Tom Lynch, Jeremy Cameron, Ben Brown. Tell us your thoughts, and then everybody else, if you've got an opinion, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, it's hard. So obviously the game is you got to start one, you got to put one on the bench, and one you're not starting. So I would say it's fairly straightforward. You'd start Jezza Cameron, so he'd be one out. Who you'd bring off the bench is something different. I think you'd probably go Tom Lynch off the bench. You can come in, be explosive, kick a goal while Jezza's taking a breather, and unfortunately I'm going to have to cut the vegan.
Yeah, that was an easy call, I reckon.
Harsh on Ben Brown, though, considering he's probably been the most consistent out of those 3 in terms of goals kicked, at least for the last 3-4 years, maybe in the comp. So
3.
Yeah, interesting one. All right, John, I'll come to you. You're our resident old man, and I'll give you the 3 names that have brought much debate to world football. 3 names that have brought much debate over the years. Michael Voss, Nathan Buckley, James Hird. Start, bench, cut.
Oh,
Voss, Buckley, Hird. Oh. Herd's not getting a run. Herd's getting traded.
New rules.
What do you mean? Oh, no. What was it? Start bench trade or start bench
cut?
Cut.
Oh, cut. Yeah, cut. All right, we'll
Someone
cut.
to write the
You're not making anything back off
mate.
this. It's just gone.
No.
Gone to the ether.
Yeah, we cut. No, I'll start with Buckley. I'll bench Voss, and I'll cut Hird.
Ooh,
Interesting. I think I would have cut Hird too, but I'm starting Voss.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. Buckley was he's just so competitive, and I know Voss is a very, very good player, but Voss is someone who can still come off the bench and just tear it open. So
yeah, you guys mustn't appreciate.
Where do you split?
I think
you guys
think
mustn't
Hird.
appreciate individual brilliance. That must be something a bit low on the list.
What's that?
I'd bench
Buckley?
Hird personally. I couldn't cut him.
Well, he's already been cut by the AFL anyway, so it might be the easiest move.
That's
All
a
right,
tough
Todd.
one, though. That debate's been going on for years about those 3.
Doddsy, you suggested this segment, and you suggested these 3 names. 3 superstar midfielders at the moment. Start, bench, cut. Cripps, Fife, Dangerfield. Go.
Oh, jeepers. I've got to start with Fife for sure. Not because he's my favourite player, but because he's the best in the comp as well.
That might help.
Yeah. Look, going on current form and what I saw last year, I'm going to bench Cripps and cut Dangerfield.
Oh,
Sorry, Danger.
I
Rough.
think Danger off the bench though is probably one of the most damaging potential get you over the line kind of players. But
I think Danger's versatility, being able to go forward. I suppose all 3 of these players can go forward, but Danger's probably done it most out of the 3. So I think that versatility off the bench would be very useful. And as much as I love Cripps and love Carlton, I think just the fact that he's a bit younger and hasn't really achieved the heights yet, I'd probably be shelving him for now. But next year, maybe it's a different conversation. Maybe at the end of the season, he comes away with a Brownlow and we're talking something different.
Yeah, so I'm not basing this on career achievements or the past. I'm just saying for this year. So I'd rather Cripps over Danger for sure.
Fair call.
Okay,
I get what you're
confident.
saying. All right. Moving on to Australia's favourite trivia game. Footy IQ.
have we got a sting for this yet?
Oh, Jesus.
We'll come up with one soon enough.
Oh,
Anyone got an idea, send it over to us on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right. So the way this game works is we go one at a time to list all the answers of a prompt until either they're all named or you get one wrong and you are out. We've gone for 2 weeks so far and we still have no winner. So hopefully someone comes up with the goods this week. We're going to
Have we had a
go.
loser both times though? Or?
I won't go into that. We're going to go in this order. James first, Dodd second, JD third.
Oh, that'd be right.
Oh, well, you're going to finish there anyway, so it doesn't matter. And this week's topic is Norm Smith winners from the year 2000 onwards. So the
Oh.
last 20 years. Now, I think these are more or
already
less
out.
all gettable. There's 20 years, 19 winners on the board. And we start with you, James.
Let's go Luke Hodge. Just real crisp early one.
Nice one. Hodge, one of the two-time winners on the board, winning in 08 and 14. Dodsy.
I'm going to go a bit unorthodox here. Stevie J.
Stevie J, yes, he had this in the media this week. 2007 winner.
Is that what
J?
prompted you to do this one?
Yeah, it was. It was the first play that came to mind.
No, I mean, Luke, is that what prompted you to start the
No, I
segment?
just wanted to pick a topic that was easy enough that you guys could get.
Oh, yeah, piece of cake.
JD, your turn.
Luke Shuey.
Shuey is on the money for 2018. Jim.
Why do I feel like I'm stumped already? Let's
Just
go.
think through the last few years. You'll be able to get it.
James Hurd won 2000.
Well, we can start off with that one too. James Hurd. Dodsy. Come on,
Cyril
boys. These are
Rioli.
very gettable. Cyril Rioli is correct. 2015 over West Coast. John?
Johannesson.
Johannesson did win 2016.
Should have been Bont.
Agreed. Or Tom Boyd. He's kicked the goal. Your turn.
F. Michael Voss.
Michael Voss never won a Norm Smith.
Oh,
How do you be the best player in the comp and only win 3 in a row and don't win a Norm Smith?
Yep. Dodsy, you've got a bit of help with that one because you can think through the Brisbane winning years if you want to try and figure those out. But the table is yours. Who are you picking, Dod?
I'm going to get this Muppet out of the way and hit Dustin Martin.
He is there. He's the other two-time winner. Sorry, James, you're gone. Dusty won 17 and 19. So both two-time winners are off the board. On to you, John.
I'm going to put it all on the line on this one. Luke Power.
No. Luke Power, no good.
I thought he did it in 02 or 03, but yeah, anyway.
All right, Dodsy. It's your chance to win. Here we go.
I'm going to give the Collingwood supporters something to cheer about and select Nathan Buckley.
And you are on the money. 2002, one of two players
losing
granny.
in a losing grand final in the last 20 years. All right, so I'll run through the other ones. We have a
let's
winner.
see how many
Well
more
done,
we can
Dods.
get,
Give me a clap.
Yeah, well done. I'm just
Can I try and get the rest?
Okay, yeah. We can go through free for all now. Whoever wants to chip in. So we have
Simon Black.
Simon Black won 2003. Yep.
Luke Ball.
Luke Ball did not win one. No.
Sam Mitchell.
Sam Mitchell did not win one. No.
Hodgie.
Yeah, Hodgie
Yeah,
won
right.
two. James listed that one.
Oh, sorry.
So I'll run through in reverse order. So actually,
I'll tell you what,
I'll do it
give
in
us-
regular
give us the-
years.
Give us the premiers.
Yeah, so 2000, we got James Hurd. 2001, Brisbane beat Essendon.
Justin Lepage.
No, Sean Hart.
Oh,
That one
nice.
would have been-
Yeah, very nice.
A bit more
Helmet
difficult.
Hero.
2003, Brisbane beat Collingwood.
Didn't you say it
Akermanis.
was Simon Black?
That was Simon Black. Yep.
Something.
Did I say that one already?
Yep.
Sorry.
That's right.
2004, Port beat Brisbane. Sneaky one, this.
Warren Treadray.
Nope.
Was it Wanganeen?
Nope. Byron Pickett.
Oh, Pickett. Yes.
Pickett, yeah.
Byron Pickett.
That was a
2004.
question on the rub yesterday.
Not Kane Corns.
2005, West Coast lost to Sydney. And this is the other losing Norm Smith winner.
C. Judd.
C. Judd, correct. 2006, West Coast beat Sydney.
C. Judd.
Not C. Judd.
Cousins.
Not Cousins.
Kerr.
Not Kerr. Andrew Embley.
Oh, Ember.
Oh,
The
wow, that's
06
Yeah,
Norm.
yeah, very good.
All right, 2009, Geelong beat St Kilda.
Was that the Stevie J one?
Nope.
No.
Stevie J was 07. Sorry, I skipped Stevie J 07 and Hodge 08. 2009, Geelong beat St Kilda. Paul Chapman.
Yeah,
Norm
Chapman.
Smith, winner of
Kicked
the year.
Yeah.
Left foot snap to win the game.
2010, we have two different winners because there was a drawn grand final and the Collingwood win over St Kilda in the second replay? Any ideas?
Goddard.
Lenny Hayes.
Hayes won the
In the
drawn
draw.
one, and then Pendlebury won the actual one.
Pendles.
2011, Bartel won for Geelong over Collingwood. 2012, Sydney versus Hawthorn, Ryan O'Keefe. Sneaky
Right.
one for the Rock. And the last one that no one's got yet, Dodd, come on. Hawthorn over Fremantle, 2013.
Sewell.
Josh Gibson.
No, but it was another player they traded in, Brian Lake.
Oh, Brian Lake, yeah.
Brian Lake. All right, so that's Footy IQ for the week. Thanks for playing,
Poor
boys.
Dodd.
And congratulations to our first winner, Samuel Dodd.
And I feel bad for Dodd because the Hawks have won so many flags, he just forgets who wins the Norm Smith.
It's muddy. It's muddy up there for sure.
He's up, boys. He's up. It's been a
Alrighty.
solid drought now.
So that's local footy for now. Moving on quickly with a recap of world sport now that the coronavirus is starting to ease up. Big news out of Formula One this week. Four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel is going to leave Ferrari at the end of the season. He is being replaced by Carlos Sainz. And Aussie man Daniel Ricciardo is moving from Renault to replace Sainz at McLaren. Maybe opens up an option for former world champion Fernando Alonso to come back. Who knows? UFC has returned. NASCAR comes back today. And as we spoke about earlier, the Bundesliga is also back. And another thing to come up tonight is the final two episodes of The Last Dance. Those who don't know, it is the docuseries by ESPN and Netflix about Michael Jordan and the 97-98 Bulls season. I haven't seen it because I still have to catch up, but we've got a few guys here who have seen it. And like we said, the final episodes are out tonight. Firstly, I'll come to you, Dodds. What do you think of the show so far, and what are you looking forward to from tonight's episodes?
Yeah, it's been hasn't been anything really new or anything. It's kind of painted the picture slowly about the history of MJ, Pippen, Jackson, just to build up to this real last season, which is, hence The Last Dance. But it's been really good. The best thing that I've seen with it is just how raw MJ is. So he doesn't really care what people think of him. His leadership was so down the line, and it's affected him now. You see him tearing up in one of the previous episodes. So I think it's been great. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what you boys have thought about it as well, James.
Yeah, I do like it. It is good viewing. The one thing I don't like about it in particular is how unchronological it is. It just goes back and forth too often. And if you're really not paying attention, you sort of forget where you're at. And I feel like that sort of impedes the character development throughout the years of those players. So you got obviously Rodman, Pippen. In certain times, Rodman's not there. He's on the Pistons. You got Pippen who's there, but he's injured. It's just all sort of a bit muddied up. I reckon if they would have gone chronological, especially because they're building up to that last season, it probably would have been a little bit better of a viewing. And for people saying that it's an MJ doco, I tend not to agree with that. It seems more like it's a Chicago Bulls documentary with the franchise player being MJ. Because a lot of the stories you got Rodman being out for 48 hours in Vegas, which turned into however many days it was. You got Pippen being underpaid. It's sort of more about the team rather than MJ. And that's fine, but that's sort of, it's taking away, it's that value is being devalued because people are calling it an MJ doco. I don't know if that's affect anyone else's viewing. What about you, JD?
Yeah. Well, actually, I've got to say, I'm not a basketball fan, follower, I should say. I just sort of cling on to every word Stephen Naismith says. But I got to say, from a neutral point of view, to be honest, the jumping around I've actually quite enjoyed. Because for me, you are forced to pay a little bit more attention to it because you don't know where it's at. And so as a result, it sort of hooked me in. It's like, oh, okay, so this is a bit of a background for this. And then it's gone forward to the present moment. It's like, oh, okay, so I've been able to see how it's been affected. So from a wonderful word, a neutral, I've quite enjoyed it. There is a touch of a little bit of bias there, but I have enjoyed how they've shown the interviews that they've done in the past with some now, just to see what they've said and get a bit of a reaction to that and just see some of the truthfulness behind it. So, yeah, from someone who doesn't follow it, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I look forward to catching up with that tonight, and hopefully those episodes go down well and will be interesting to watch back. All right, boys, I think that's us for the week. Thank you for joining. As always, we'll be back next week with all the latest news from footy and sport. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at No Sweat Podcast. And as always, let us know your thoughts, opinions. What can we do better? What can we not talk about? What do we talk about? Where are we playing the grand final? Let us know what you want to do. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.